Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Glenn H.
What's up, Mike? You always say Glenn H.
I know.
I have to remind myself who I am, right?
Right. Mikey R.
What's going on, brother? I know you said your name one time. And
not so much. So I just got a text, a little bummer text, but I just got a text that one of our friends in the program passed away, natural causes. Sober passed away, sober, and a guy from the train station meeting I go to. They meet at a train station.
But that's a celebration.
It is a celebration. I mean, the impact this guy had on other people's lives. He chaired the same meeting for the past 7 years I've been going to this meeting.
That's amazing.
And he chaired it every Tuesday night. You could count on it that he was there every Tuesday night.
But you know what? Your first reaction is, I'm bummed, man. That's a shame, right? That sucks. It blows. But I have trained myself when I hear that somebody hits the finish line sober, that is a major win. Yeah. And I just think that's really cool, man. I just think that's super cool. And God, that's a major drive in my life. You know, I got a lot going on, a lot of stuff. It doesn't matter, man.
Right.
I want to hit that finish line.
Yeah.
You know, and God, I hate my thought process sometimes. That's why, you know, I was talking to somebody this week, and they're like, man, my thoughts are driving me nuts. I'm like, why? He goes, I just think some crazy stuff, and then it drives me. I'm like, whoa, wait. I'm like, you know, thoughts are not directives.
That's right.
Right?
They're just thoughts. You cannot hardly control them. They come from everywhere.
So he says, how do you do that? I said, dude, I look at my thoughts as if I'm sitting in a movie theater, and I'm looking at the screen, and a thought comes on my screen, right? And it's almost like a swipe. Like I have the ability, I have the right, I have the option of saying, nah, that thought, almost assess everything.
Right.
Not engage and be your thoughts, but now be a participant or observer of your thoughts and say, nope, I'm not going to participate with the lust. Nope. Swipe.
Love
Next
that.
one. Oh, heroin looks like we had an episode, right? And the girl was describing heroin. I'm like, God, that sounds really good.
Yeah,
how good would I feel then?
Swipe. Yeah.
Right? And you don't have to and somebody taught me that several years ago, and it's one of the most genius things. You don't have to participate in your thoughts. You know, you are allowed to observe them.
Right.
So I thought that was really
cool.
I hate hearing that, Mikey.
I know.
But I love hearing.
And it is the circle of life. We're all going to go.
Isn't that the ultimate win, though?
It is the ultimate
isn't that
win.
the ultimate objective is to stay? Because there's times in my mind.
Yeah, where I think if I'm terminal, give me a bottle.
I think of that Magnolia.
Yeah.
The one with Jason Robarbs, and he's in his, taking his cancer meds. And I'm like, at that point, right?
Right.
This is where my brain goes. At that point, have a cocktail.
Okay, that's what I used to think.
But that's still.
I fantasized about that. Then I've come to realize
swipe.
I swiped it because if those are my last moments, if I know I'm ticking down,
if that's what your legacy, think your legacy.
Yeah,
right. You live 20 years sober. You're on your deathbed, and then you take cocktail. I mean, that's how you want to. That's what you want to leave the universe.
Well,
is that you cocktailed before you die?
You got that, and plus you're going out blurry. I've come to appreciate clarity.
Can you imagine meeting Jesus, man?
Yeah,
all buzzed.
Yeah. Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh
my
man.
gosh.
So
swipe.
Thank you. So before we came into the coffee shop, I said, what are we going to talk about today? And you said Coke Zero. And I love Coke Zero.
No, I didn't say Coke. Brian, will you help him? I didn't say Coke Zero.
Okay.
I said from zero.
Oh, from zero. Because I love Coke Zero. But go ahead.
I do too. That's all I drink. I drink coffee and Coke Zero.
What is from zero?
All right. So there's a band. I know you're a music fan.
Yep, love them.
In fact, when you go home today and you're in your studio office, I call it office, but it's really a musical studio.
It is indeed.
Right. So I want you to put on Linkin Park.
I love them.
From Zero.
Okay.
Now, and I'm thinking from zero I have a lot of from zeros in my life. Okay. But Linkin Park's From Zero, so they had a dude, Chester Pennington, who was their lead singer and founder of Linkin Park, and the force and the legacy behind Linkin Park.
Okay.
Well, he passed away. He committed suicide.
Okay.
Right. So, Linkin Park for quite a number of years, they were gone. Right. Who's Linkin Park without Chester Pennington? Right. And it was really, and you can think of many situations in life where the key figurehead is like the heartbeat of whatever brand or band it is, right? So Chester was the heartbeat of. And so, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, maybe it's been 18 months by now, Linkin Park says, hey, we're going to have a press release, right? Meet us here for this press release. And so there's like this theater-ish type place, arena, maybe held 1,000 people, right? And then nobody knew what it was, right? It was all mysterious, and it was dark, and a couple lights, and you see some instruments on stage, and you're like, what's going on, right? And then Linkin Park came back on with a new singer, and their song was From Zero. And her name's Emily Armstrong, but it was from, when you have something and you're torn down, right? And so I relate to that. In fact, if I ever write a book, Mikey, it's going to be called From Zero. Because September of 2014, so I'm going back 11 years, was my point of zero, right? And I can really remember my point of zero, not just material things. A lot of people look at material things in life and say, wow, you lost everything, you're at zero, right? I was at zero materially, financially, emotionally, relationally. I was at zero in every area of my life. Physically, I had a lot of physical issues. I was at zero. I just, 6 hospitals in 1 week across the country, 8-day detox. I couldn't even sit in a chair. That's how bad I was physically hurt. Emotionally hurt. I couldn't even speak. It was terrible. And that was my point of From Zero, was that point where I spoke the words. I looked at my counselor, and I said, he looked at me, he goes, do you have hope? And I said, yes, that's the only thing I have. And I said, I will do anything you tell me to do just so I don't take another drink. That was my absolute, I can tell you exactly where I was, I can tell you what the weather was outside. I forget what I was wearing, but I was on the floor. I couldn't even sit in a chair. And that was my From Zero, right? So then now what, right? And I've had a lot of From Zeros since then. I built a relationship with Jen, which, God, she's just an amazing. I built that from zero.
Yeah.
There was, your
business.
Yeah, December of 14. Zero. I had no relation with Jen, and then we connected, and we had our first date, and we have built an amazing relationship from zero. My business, from zero. Our podcast, from zero. A lot of stuff that, the stuff I do at church. The first time I raised my hand to help at church, it was leading small group guide of teenagers. I hate kids, right? From zero.
Nice. Was that on your resume, by the way?
Oh my gosh! It was I don't know, probably 7 years ago. I'm still recovering from that retreat where I didn't sleep all weekend with those high school kids. But so I think in the lives that we build in sobriety, in many aspects, are from zero. And some people like you, I'm jealous of you sometimes, right? Because you have Nancy, right? Mm-hmm. And your relation with Nancy survived. The trip to zero.
Yeah, right.
And now you guys are building a progressively amazing relationship from zero, right? From that point, sure. But you stayed together, right? I had zero people in my life. Right. Literally zero. So I don't know. I've just been thinking lately, as you accomplish, I watch you accomplish so much stuff and make progress, right? And just the impact you have in life and on people and in AA. And I've just been thinking from zero, right? And it takes a lot to build from zero. First of all, you got to get over the fact that your building collapsed.
Well, here's the thing about Linkin Park, and yes, there are songs that I've listened to. My daughter Is a big fan of Linkin Park. My kids, I think, all are big fans of Linkin
They
Park.
just came to Chicago, and I cannot believe I didn't go. I didn't do anything.
So this Emily is still with them?
Oh yeah, she used to be and she's amazing. I mean, just you couldn't have a better step in, right? But here's what they do. They clearly have a path forward.
Yes.
But they respect and love and embrace the past, right?
Yes.
They don't.
Yes.
Like they don't have a rule. We're never saying Chester's name again.
Right.
Right. They embrace that part of them, just like we do. Right. Don't shut the door on the past. Right. We still remember the past and don't want to shut the door on it. But we build on that.
That's right.
We use that as a foundation. That was then. Right. But how am I going to build differently? You couldn't build more differently than instead of a guy having a girl.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, she's an amazing addition to Linkin Park, and I actually like them better now, but I'm not going to say that.
Well, here's my takeaway from your story, because you're right. We came from we both have a journey. We came from different places. You lost everything, materialistically, relationally, financially, physically. You were at the bottom of the barrel, and you had lost most of your support network around you, or all of your support network around you. I came from a different path. They stuck with me through my treachery, through my debacles, through my extreme behavior, right? And they stuck by me. But here's what I'm taking away from your Linkin Park From Zero story, is that they lost their voice. That's where I was on October 13th, actually, 2018. I had lost my voice. I no longer was speaking anything meaningful, and I lost my voice is the best way to put it. Linkin Park lost their voice. They have a new voice. They have a new voice now. From zero.
It took them work to find that new voice. It didn't happen overnight. It took years.
Right.
Took years.
Yeah. And now, from what you tell me, they're booming. They're selling
amazing.
out. They're selling out arenas. They're selling their music. They're making music. They found their voice again. That's my journey. My journey is, again, I had people surrounding me, but life is a lot solo. Life happens a lot between our ears, and the things that transpire around me that used to be so important, my material possessions, my accomplishments in work, the relationships I had, the press I got, they were all important to me, right? None of that is important. That's not my song anymore. It's not the song I sing to myself anymore. I sing a song now of adventure and joy and legitimacy, where before my songs were murky and dark and because they just had no hope. They didn't have that hope that you found on your counselor's floor. It had none. I had lost my voice.
So I think this is off topic a little bit, but I mean, I was clearly from zero, from relationships. Do you think that, and there's a lot of times when I think I have an advantage, right? Because Jen has never seen the drudgery of Glenn, right?
So ergo, she can't remind you.
Right.
That happens.
Okay. So
that hurts.
Well, no. What I'm trying to assess here is, and it doesn't matter, right? But I'm just curious. I'm just having fun. But is it better for Glenn to start at zero, or is it better for Mikey to have Nancy see you go to hell, see you realize it, see you work hard, and then see you come out of hell 50 or 100 times better than you ever were, that she's ever known you? And
I think that's a legitimate question. I think we're both. She stuck in the pool with me as I was splashing around. I was like an upside down duck. I mean, my feet were
drowning.
I was drowning, man.
Let's be honest.
And she was watching that train wreck. She was watching the duck drown. And
does that make her appreciate today more?
Oh, absolutely. Well,
embrace today more.
You can answer that same question, because you know the impact that you've made on your daughter's lives, who saw you upside down in the pool. And look, they got out of the pool
from walk away to welcoming.
Yeah. Can I tell you the worst thing? The worst thing I was driving along with Nancy at some point in time, and I was feeling pretty proud of myself where I was in my sobriety journey. And so I was being a little cocky, right? And I said, so why'd you stay with me all those years, And expected her to say something funny. And or I didn't know what to expect, I guess. And she said, I had no place else to go. And
you know what? I was just, before you said that, I was just going to think that she had no other choice.
She had no other choice. And I dragged her to that. I bring that story up as a reminder and a motivator to me to be the person I am today, because she has a choice now. Physically, financially, mentally. She can be anywhere she wants. But she's not. And because of her love for me, I have a natural love for her.
And you're probably lovable today.
More tolerable, let's say.
I think you're lovable.
Yes, more tolerable.
But, it's funny because I really relate to that, because I looked at Jen a couple months ago, and one of our morning coffee times, I'm like, I was literally, and I know a lot of people use, I couldn't describe, unless I was in jail, I couldn't have been more zero.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Right. And yet, I was a couple of months still living in sober living. We started going out. And I'm like, I looked at her a couple of months ago. I'm like, what in the world? Because I'm a little different today, right? I think I have some qualities today, and I think I'm workable today, right? Mm-hmm. But I look back, and I'm like, what in the world did you ever see in me? Right. I was at zero.
It wasn't a Maserati.
And I told her.
And an Armani.
Oh, I didn't have any money. I told her, I said, I felt like the horse on the back of the racetrack where the trailer's coming up and the guy's putting the shotgun shell ready to put me out of my misery, right? Because I had a broken leg, and that's what they do to horses, right? And I'm like, that's how I felt. And yet you, in the stands, said, I want to bet on him to win the race. And I'm like, that makes no sense. And she goes,
and you were a 30-1. You were a 30-1, maybe 60-1.
Yeah, I was out.
But think about this.
They were loading the gun, and she goes to the horse race window and says, I want to bet on that dude.
Okay, now let me tell you, take it back to does Nancy appreciate me? Look at the payoff she got with you. If you were a 2-1, okay, she kind of would have seen what she got, but you were a 30-1, 60-1. Look at the payoff she got. She got to experience your growth journey with you and see your transformation from last horse to first horse.
Yeah, but what's funny is I don't think she gets value out of me as much as I get value out of what I do in my life. So I do a lot of things in my life. I don't think she gets value from all of those things.
Right.
Like I get the value.
Yeah, but she gets the indirect value.
Well, she gets the value of me being a good guy. Right. And I'm a good guy because of all the things I do. Right. But what she said back then, and that's interesting. I need to put some thought into that. But back then she said, Glenn, here's how it was. A, you always showed up. She goes, a lot of guys don't show up. Mm-hmm. She goes, you were really nice to me. Mm-hmm. She said, I could tell you had a really good heart. And she goes, you paid attention to me and my kids. You were really nice to my kids. And she goes, and we did fun things together. She goes, I didn't need money. I didn't need a guy for money or for fame. I just needed, that's what I was looking for. And you delivered it in an amazing fashion. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'll keep going and see where this goes. Right. And here we are. And so I think a lot of the rewards in my life, she doesn't realize. Mm-hmm. She doesn't benefit. I'm trying to, they're not important to her, or they're not rewarding to her, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But I argue that when we get together on Monday nights, which we do as a small group, our mantra, part of the reason we're there, is to be better husbands, better fathers, better, more connected spiritually, better, people. So you might have left the house a little irritated with her when you come home after being with a bunch of other guys trying to talk about being better husbands. You're probably a better husband when you get home. So she's getting the result of your action every day, and that's just one example. this.
Yeah, no, I think she's, the fact that I show up and do what I say I'm going to do and contribute and serve and help and love and care and
it's your character
and work to be better. And I mean, all that stuff. It's funny how I'm thinking about this out loud, but, from zero, but it's amazing the work that it takes. Yeah. It's just like a building.
Oh, sure. Linkin Park, it blows me away. That they had to build a whole new brand for themselves with this Emily now being their voice. And
I mean, it takes a lot from zero. Whether you're a band, whether you're building a building, whether you're building a sober life, metaphorically or reality, you're building from zero, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of commitment. Right? If you're building a building, you can't skip the 5th floor. Right. You just can't. You just like when you're doing the steps, you can't skip steps. You miss out. Or you just can't skip through it. It reminds me of the guy that got out of an incredible, painful detox, right? And the first week he's out of detox, he's going to open 3 companies, he's going to blend families, he's going to do this and that. And I'm like, dude, you're skipping to the penthouse. Yeah. Like you haven't even built the foundation.
Yeah, right.
But you're living in the penthouse.
Yeah.
I'm like, it ain't going to work. He's like, and he got all pissed off at me, and 3 weeks later, he's in another hospital.
All right.
So I don't know, man. But from zero, I think it's good. I think it's good for Linkin Park. I think it's good in sobriety. Hey, let's build. A lot of people use the word rebuild. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any good qualities to rebuild.
No, I
had to start fresh.
On that point, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It had to be a fresh start. It had to be a fresh start from zero.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love you,
Love
man.
you, brother.
This was a great topic.
Thanks for jumping the coffee shop with me, man.
Talking about our wives. That's what guys do when they go out to coffee.
Till next time.
Goodbye.
All right.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.